Yo, 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 what's going on? What's going on? What's going on, baby? Baby. It's Terrell, Hall of Fame, D-Line, TBKC, and all that sweet, beautiful, wonderful shit. Hopefully y'all having a beautiful day, man. I'm trying to catch up, and I'm drinking my tea and swatting away this fly to keep on messing with me. But it's a good morning, man. Finishing up some kennels out here, and just trying to get back in a normal mode of life, be time to go home here shortly, so do what I do. But anyway, I seen a interesting debate, which I think it was some misunderstanding when it came to the bulldog being in the American bully. And I seen what the individual was trying to say who put up the post. He was trying to say, basically what he was trying to say is that although there is a bulldog element to this breed, that people have put bulldog in this dog amongst other dogs, that the bulldog is not supposed to be in it. Well, people sort of more so took that as there is no bulldog in this breed. So what he was trying to get at is that you can get a nice ass dog without putting bulldog into the breed. And a lot of people who know everything now, man, it's bulldog in every single dog, and I know it's bulldog, and this is how you do it. And I'm gonna tell you the truth, and we went over this before, and this is something that y'all have to learn. Now, if you get especially like some old school blood, one of the reasons why you always hear them talk about trust the blood and the pop and when it's going to pop and how it's going to pop and all of this is because the real dogs were more terrier dogs. It was dogs that if you look back at a Cairo didn't have a bulldog look. You know what I mean? If you look back at a Wangati, he didn't look like a bulldog. These dogs carry some natural characteristics that really just got oversized in a lot of ways, and people in trying to catch up with that definitely started adding bulldog, but a lot of us didn't. I can tell you, in over 20 years of breeding now, I never added a damn bulldog to my dogs. It wasn't necessary. I've seen dogs from generation to generation get a lot bullier and nothing happened. Like Mandela is a lot bullier than his mom and his dad, bigger bone, bigger chest, heavier, more dense dog. But that was the thing, the selective breeding pattern that comes out of that. You take the dog that has the genetics to produce that kind of size and that kind of bulliness, and you breed it to another dog. Now, amongst the things in some of these questions that I kept hearing in that was that people would say, well, how is it and why is it that you can get a big head like that? Why could you get a big head? Why could you get, the thicker bone and different things like that? Well, I've explained this on many videos and it doesn't change. Gigantism and dwarfism are the traits that will make these dogs change a little more rapidly. Not change to look like a different breed, but you can see a definite change in them. The dog looks different. Little Roe is an example of that. If you look at Little Roe's head structure, compared to Cairo, compared to some of his brothers and everything else, you wouldn't get that. He looks different. But Little Roe was a dwarf because he had other issues that come along with dwarfism. Yes, he had the big head. Yes, he had the bone. Yes, he had the more, stout type face. But he also had, something weird that, like with his toenails, it was something weird where like they went sideways or some shit. Then he had, a slight high rear. Roe had his little issues. He had one testicle. This is all stuff that comes along with being a dwarf. Now then, if you take, some of the bigger dogs and you see some of these bigger dogs grow, I've told y'all this several times and I'll repeat the story, is that when I used to breed Rottweilers a lot, I'm getting back into it, but when I bred Rottweilers a lot, man, I had one litter in particular where the female, Asia, she was roughly, I would say, about 100 pounds, maybe 105 pounds. A little shorter, a lot stocky. Now, I bred her to my boy Rock. Rock was closer to, say, 130-ish, 125, 130-ish area. Breeding these two dogs together, they made giants. Malcolm and Malay, and Malcolm was the boy, of course. Malcolm was an easy 150 pounds. Beautiful dog, great conformation, big head, but he was easily 150 pounds. just big, maybe the best Rottweiler I've seen. He was an incredible dog, you know, but he was too big. Malay herself was about 125 pounds as a female, a lot bigger than her mom. Now, it was another dog in that litter, and man, it's driving me crazy. I forget his name right off top. But this dude ended up being 170 plus pounds. My brother kept him. I mean, not only was he heavy, he was very tall. He's probably like 31 inches. And this comes off a good German stock and everything, you know, all the titles, all the pink papers, everything. And, you know, when I talked to, you know, some of those breeders, they would talk about how it happens sometimes with this being a Mastiff breed. It's Mastiff behind those dogs, bigger dogs. It could come out, you know. It could come out sometimes, certain blood combinations would spark it. Sometimes just an individual dog would push that gene a lot more. It can happen, you know. In the American Bully world, you know, for those who were around early, you knew that we had a lot of, breedings where you would only have one dog that would come out bully, you know, or have that look of being a bully, and a lot of the rest of them would be terrierish, very pit bullish, and they might grow into their looks later. Some of them would always look very, very average. You didn't have to add a bulldog into this thing. You know, now that does not go to say that bulldog hasn't been had it, as we've seen, you know, everything from the Bordeaux added, you know, to the Neo added, to English Bulldog, French Bulldog, Rottweiler, a Oldie Bulldog, a Lappaha Bulldog, you know, American Bulldog if I didn't name him. But, you know, everything's been added into the breed now as people, you know, grew impatient on trying to create the proper way and saying, you know what, it's sort of like the last video I did when I talked about the money race. You know, them guys saw guys like Marco Suarez charging $10,000 a stud, Dave and Cruz getting $5,000 a stud off a little row, and they wanted in on that action. And these dogs were very unique at the time because not a lot of dogs look like that, you know. So they would try to find any and every way to do that. It was the same thing when you had the giant, you know, quote unquote red noses and the blue noses, whatever you want to call them, you know what I mean? When you had those giant dogs and people wanted a part of that money, they wanted a part of that money, man. So when they, you know, when they got rolling, they would add whatever they could to bring the size up. That's where you had dogs like Neos and Bordeaux's come into the fold. So you had a little bit of both, but, you know, especially with the true American Bully, the, you know, you could make a real bully, you know, like the look that you had like with Remy. A lot of, like I said, Oscar Gomez at Blue Pride, his stuff goes back 10 generations where he actually did the DNA testing, where he can show you he locked in a look. You know, the dogs got better with time. He kept on picking the better, the breed to the better, and it just kept on getting better. So it can be done the right way. It can be done the wrong way. You know, even with the you know, the different terrier breeds. You got bulldog in those breeds. You know, you got different dogs in those breeds that you are going to pull out in the genetics, and you're always going to have the risk of, you know, especially with a million breedings, you're always going to have the risk of having gigantism or dwarfism or any of those other traits. You know, so after a while, it gets to the point to where we have to start arguing and bickering about what was there, and we have to start really, really locking in on what we see. Do we see traits and characteristics that's going to be terrible for the breed? If we see traits and characteristics that are not what the breed is supposed to be, our job is to get rid of that and keep it moving. It's just that simple. It's no need for a big argument. To be truthful, none of us actually know about every dog, because you have people in the backyard, you know, whether it's the two dogs locking up or whether it's, you know, them doing the AIs, and they can tell the world a lie in any kind of way, you know, any kind of way, you know. It's a lot of questionable breedings on how they really went down and why the breeders would never, ever, ever do a DNA testing or anything like that. It's a lot of those, you know. So it's not just a one or two dog situation, but then you also have purists that under no circumstances would ever breed to an American bulldog or a French bulldog or an English bulldog or any kind of bulldog to make their dogs into anything else. They're going to keep on working in selective breeding to push towards it. And you can see the difference in the look, because if you're talking about a true American Bully, you can see that it's there, you know. A true American Bully, you can see that it's all good. The other ones, you can see the bulldog face on them. Just that simple. You can see it, you know. And I'm not talking about a few wrinkles. I'm talking about you can literally see the whole detail of a bulldog in their face. You know, the round eyes, the super round head. They look like bulldogs. Now, yeah, excuse me. Now, I never seen us breeding that old stuff and they come back to look like that. That's somebody cheating the game. But all we can do is monitor it now, get rid of those who don't come up to standard, and try to make it better going down the line. That's all we're gonna be able to do, because you're talking about 20 years of corruption and led by a corrupt leader, you know, that refused to do anything about what was being done in this community. So when you got it like that, it's just one of them things where we are gonna have to put in some work if we truly care about the real American bully and trying to make it what it needs to be. We're gonna have to put in that work, you know. But hey, man, till next time, y'all, I'm gonna drink my tea and get outside before I pass out. Much love, y'all. Peace.